What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Victory Monday. Dan Kasper Show is on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. Got the Sports Talk app, your Google and Alexa home devices, and the video stream also up and rolling on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. How y'all feeling this morning, everybody? Well, if you're a Packers fan, you're probably feeling pretty darn good to begin this morning, right? 38-20 victory for the Packers yesterday. Jordan Love, 3 touchdown passes, no picks, 245 yards passing. Aaron Jones, 2 touchdowns. Romeo Dobbs, also 2 touchdowns for him. Packers defense with a pick 6. Quay Walker with the pick 6 there, collecting 4 sacks as well. Big time game, huh? Not a bad way to start the season. And nobody's talking about it, but we got to give a little shout out to Anders Carlson. Come on, rookie kicker. We were worried about him, a little nervous, a little concerned. Is it going to be a nervous, kind of up and down season? Dude hit a 52-yard field goal, and it was perfect. 5 for 5 on extra points. Well done, rookie. Well done, kid. Nice work. So, lots to catch up on or chat about with this game and such. But how you feeling this morning on a Victory Monday, Packers fans? I know it's just one game, but come on, we're all fans, right? We can tend to overreact here a little bit, right? Let's have a little fun with overreaction Monday. Okay? I know it's just one game and such. You don't maybe want to get too excited and this, that, and the other thing. But come on, we're fans. We can be excited about your teams and disappointed in your losses too, as long as we don't let it affect our lives too much, right? Right? So, oh man, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, you got Jordan Love to talk about. You got defense to talk about. Where do we want to? I think we got to lead things off with probably Love coming up here in a little bit, right? So we'll hit up some Packers chat coming up here in just a little bit. I think we got a lot of thumbs up to some players on this ball club here. So we'll hit that up coming up here in just a little bit. What was your biggest surprise, shock from the weekend? I know technically the week 1 isn't in the books yet until we get Jets and Bills tonight. But what was kind of maybe the biggest surprise or shocker from the weekend? Cowboys blanking the Giants late last night, 40-0. I mean, putting a beat down. Rams 30-13 over Seattle. San Francisco looked pretty good too, 30-7 over the Steelers. Cincinnati Bengals getting plummeted by Cleveland, 24-3. Remember when we had Peter King on last week, and he said, nobody's really talking about this game, and kind of noted how Joe Burrow and the Bengals have struggled against Cleveland the last couple of years, and lo and behold, look what happened, 24-3. Victory for the Cleveland Browns. Or maybe it is the Packers game for you. Minnesota falling to Tampa Bay, 20-17. Baker Mayfield's first career start with the Buccaneers in Minnesota there too. That game happening in Minnesota. So what to you was the biggest surprise? Either like wow, dang, or like, man, that's pretty disappointing over there. And the Dolphins and Chargers, that was probably maybe the best game so far of the weekend in terms of how close and how everything was going over, back and forth affair there too. So Philadelphia jumped out to an early lead. Then New England tried to claw its way back and got close to it. But yeah, lots to catch up on with week 1 almost officially in the books. But in terms of Green Bay, in the books, in the books. But before the game yesterday, Brewers were flirting with a little bit of history going on here. Corbin Burns, no, threw 8 Probably would have gone out there in the ninth. The only problem is Brewers didn't score any runs to help out the man for crying out loud. They had a no-no going in the 11th, and they still lost the game in 13 innings. Ended up losing 4-3. So it's like, ooh, of course, the Brewers have a no-no going. Their offense can't score any runs. Not one. Not one to get it done. But I guess positive light, the bigger picture here, Brewers did win the series against the Yankees, a Yankees team that was playing better heading into the series. You know, Brewers put up 8 runs Friday, 9 runs on Saturday. So, bigger picture, I guess, here, Brewers did get the series win. Sal Frelick had a sick catch in the outfield to preserve the no-no. But nonetheless, Brewers still remain 3 games up over the Chicago Cubbies with just 20 games left to go here for the Crew. 20 games left to go, 79 and 63 right now. Brewers return home to face Miami for 4 straight games. While the Cubs, if you're doing a little scoreboard watching right now, they're going up against the Colorado Rockies. So might have to really start to pay attention more to the scoreboard. We got one team that's already clinched a playoff spot in Major League Baseball, and no surprise, that is the Atlanta Braves, 93 and 49 overall right now, but they clinched up a playoff spot. And if you're kind of paying attention to where everything's at, I mean, this is a big series for Miami too. Miami's a half a game out of a wild card spot. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games, so they're playing some good ball too. But so you got Miami coming to Milwaukee, playing good, half game out of a wild card spot. And then you've got the Colorado Rockies, who are the worst team in the National League, and that's who the Cubbies get to go visit. They're 2-8 in their last 10 and lost 4 in a row. So go Rockies. Find some magic here, maybe. Hopefully win that series against the Cubs and help out the Crew here a little bit. But things are tight. I should say things continue to remain tight in this National League playoff race, especially with the wild card here. You still got Philly with the number 1 spot, Cubs just a couple back, Arizona's holding on to that final one. Miami's a half game out, San Francisco's a game and a half out, Cincinnati a game and a half out. And that's pretty much the race between the wild card teams here, because then it's just a big gap. San Diego's the next one, but they're 8 back. American League, not as much. Got Texas half game out from that last wild card spot, which is currently held by Seattle. Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Seattle are your wild card teams right now. So we'll talk some baseball. Badger football. Yikes, right? Fall again, second year in a row to Washington State. An incredibly slow start first half there for the Badgers, and the comeback falling short there in the second half, but not a good performance from from the Badger football team. So everybody who was a little concerned heading into that game, you were definitely right to be concerned. 31-22 loss for the Badger football team against Washington State. Tanner Mordecai, 278 yards passing. Badgers couldn't get the running game going now. Jez Malusi, 49 yards on the ground. Braylon Allen only carried the ball 7 times for 20 yards. But Washington jumped out to a 24-9 lead at the half. Badgers put up 13 in the third, but nothing in the fourth. Couldn't slow them down in the first half and couldn't catch up in the second half. Badgers will have returned to Camp Randall for this weekend against Georgia Southern before taking on Purdue to begin the Big Ten portion of their schedule right now. But it was kind of an interesting weekend in the college football world. You had Texas taking down Alabama Now, is Texas really back? But, Texas getting that 34-24 victory. Oregon escaping Texas Tech 38 to 30. Now, yeah, Badgers though, huh? Stinking Badgers. Blue Gold's also falling, to Coe College, this week, gonna drop to 1-1 on the, young season so far here, so but, we'll talk some college football and such, but if you wanna vent a little bit about the Badger football team, you can do so by hitting us up with some texts at 715-830-1912 on that, Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Wanna get it off your chest there a little bit. I know it was a couple days ago, and maybe you're still riding high from the Packers victory, last night, but if you wanna get something off your chest about this Badger football team, you can do so. I got to imagine because it is Monday, so it's studs and duds here. I got to imagine some people probably have the Badger football team on their duds list as part of studs and duds. So, who are your studs and duds? You can text us at 715-830-1912 or hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, or on the video stream. So, let's get things going here this morning, though. Got lots to catch up on from a busy past couple days, a busy sports weekend here. So let's begin things recapping week one win against the Chicago Bears. Packers putting up 38 points, 31 of them coming from the offense. He had the touchdown there from Quay Walker on the pick six. But what surprised you the most? Let's have a little fun overreaction, okay? Because we all know everybody's going to overreact to 1 week, to the first week, to one game. We all know that's going to happen. So let's have a little fun with this, all right? But I guess in a serious part too, what really jumped out to you from the game? Did anything kind of like, wow, I'm actually that surprised they did that, or maybe it was kind of a scheme thing, play call thing? What did anything kind of stand out to you, or what stood out to you the most in this game or in this win against the Bears? All right. Start to let us know. Start to hit us up with a text 715-830-1912. We'll take our first break and then we'll get into the leadoff. Packers still own the Bears, right? How about that? Jordan Love still owning the Bears, transferring the ownership from one Aaron Rodgers. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Get things going. Also should note that JC and the EC Justice Cleveland will be hopping on with us a little bit later this morning, 7:30 to about 8:30. So about 7:30 to 8:30 here this morning. Justice Cleveland, WEAU Sports Director Extraordinaire. Also, we'll catch up on some of the local stuff with him too. I know North picking up another victory, going up to Superior and blanking him. So Eau Claire North football off to a really good start so far this season. So we'll catch up on everything with JC just a little bit later this morning, 7:30 to about 8:30 ish here. So all right, let's get things going here this morning. Surveyor with an early text. Good morning, DK. I don't even want to talk about the Badgers. Today is all about J Love and the freaking Packers. So many Bears fans talking crap about how they finally have our number now that 12 is gone. Wrong-o. Love came out slinging the ball, and that defense looked good, especially the D-line with the constant pressure. I don't care that it's week one. This game will be ingrained in every Packer and Bears fan forever. Coming from Surveyor on the texting line there. Come on, Packers fans. Let's hear you. Let's hear more from you. All right? Hit us up with some texts. Let's go. It's a Victory Monday, right? Well, how amped up are you? How pumped up are you right now? It's week one. It's only one game. I get it, but come on. Let's get a little more excited here. I want to hear from you. What stood out to you the most? I agree with Surveyor. That's actually the first thing I was going to bring up here was the pressure. Now, you kind of wonder if it wasn't Justin Fields in his mobility and his, ability to escape and make some positive yardage out of, using. I mean, the dude led the team in rushing. Justin Fields did 9 carries for 59 yards. And you kind of have to wonder if it was a non-mobile quarterback there, how many sacks Green Bay would have had. They ended up with 4 total, but man, there was a few of them. I think we can all picture at least maybe 1 or 2 instances where Green Bay missed out on a couple of sacks because Justin Fields was just a little wiggling, was able to escape from certain pressures and such. So, maybe 7 sacks. I don't know what that number would have been like, but nonetheless, yeah, I got to give it up to the defensive line, to the pressure up there. I mean, Devontae Wyatt had himself a game. Mr. Brooks, the rookie, collecting his first career sack. It kind of gets overshadowed, I think, a little bit because it happened so early in the game, and maybe there wasn't, a lot of other plays after that. But Lucas Van Ness's sack on Justin Fields, I don't want that to kind of get lost in the shuffle. A man that size, and I think that's a big reason why Green Bay drafted Lucas Van Ness. Now, there's everything's got statistics and, numbers and scoring systems and all that when it comes to like assessing talent. I mean, we talk about it a lot in baseball and such, but there's a thing called the RAS in football and such. And there's always like a theory that Green Bay's got certain numbers they look at, and it's like, 3-cone drills and all that sort of stuff, rates your athletic scores and whatever. But Lucas Van Ness, with his size and his speed, and the sack that he had on Justin Fields, it may look like a typical sort of thing, So I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he's like, a lot of people probably just are going to assume that's a typical, normal, nothing great about that play. But factoring in Justin Fields and how electric he can be with his legs and his size, and then Lucas Van Ness with his size and such, that's a great play, and I completely agree. I don't want that to kind of get overshadowed because that was a heck of a play by the rookie in his first game. So you had him with a sack. You had Devontae Wyatt with a sack and a half. We mentioned Brooks on there too. So constant pressure. And Matt LaFleur talked about it after the game. He said one of the things that, that if it wasn't for the pressure that they put on Justin Fields and the Bears, maybe they're not in this situation right now, or in the situation with, a W, a win. So overall, I thought it was pretty darn good. Pretty darn good going up against Fields and having that pressure against him. Packers overall, I mean, Bears did carry or rush for 122 yards, but again, Fields was the leading rusher with 59. Herbert had 27. Johnson had 20. Foreman had 16 yards. So, I mean, you take Fields, and I know you can't, but you take Fields out of the equation, and Green Bay holding their running backs to under 100 yards rushing. So, overall, I thought the defense was solid. Yeah, was there some miscues and some misplays here and there? Absolutely. 100%. It wasn't perfect. Wasn't perfect. But overall, I liked it. And the one thing that really stood out to me, too, when it came to this defense was everybody was going after the ball on defense, the gang tackling, right? That to me was something that really kind of stood out, and that was something that, was kind of displayed in the preseason and such. But it's preseason, and guys are putting on an extra gear to maybe make the team. But yeah, everybody going after the ball on defense, gang tackling. I thought that really kind of stood out to me in that game, in that defensive performance yesterday. Even the tackling from Darnell Savage, from Rasul Douglas, this team blowing up the wide receiver screens. I mean, they were reading and reacting. They were going at it. They were being aggressive. Loved it. I loved it. Hopefully that's something that they can keep up. Again, not everything was perfect. There was a couple bad angles. I know Rudy Ford had one or two of them out there, but nonetheless, overall, I think you got to be pleased with the first game of the season from what you saw from the defense. Quay Walker, I mean, maybe put that guy at tight end or tailback or something like that. I mean, guy looked pretty natural carrying the ball and making some plays with that, bulldozing over a defender and such. Now, hopefully he's okay. I know he was evaluated for concussion and was taken off the field after that. So obviously that's not a good sign and such. So hopefully he'll be okay and be able to make a quick recovery there. But what a play by Quay Walker. And if you were listening to our pregame show that we just kicked off this past Sunday yesterday, that was my guy for who I picked that had to have a game. That Quay Walker had to have a game. Well, you get a pick six out there, I would say that's the definition of having a darn game. So good to see that overall defense. If I had to grade the defense, I'd probably go B plus, A minus, somewhere around there. B plus, A minus. Still some things to work on, but it is just 1 week. And hopefully this is the trend towards a pretty darn solid unit. A pretty darn solid unit overall. And I thought to start the game holding the Bears, 3rd and 1, and then they go for it on 4th and inches, 4th and less than 1, and stopping them. What a big boost of confidence right away to start that game. So, offensively, well, it starts with number 10, right? Jordan Love. It was kind of reminiscent, I thought, a little bit of some of his preseason games where, they got the touchdown right away on that drive. Then it kind of slowed down a little bit. Then they got the field goal right before half, and then the second half they come out humming. And the big thing was just getting Aaron Jones to flip and ball. I'm glad Matt LaFleur kind of acknowledged it at halftime, and if you were watching the telecast and such, and apparently he admitted to Aaron Andrews, like, yeah, we got to get Aaron Jones more involved. So I'm not sure what the dealio was there. But, Love started off hot with that first drive. It kind of slowed down there. It was really reminiscent of some of those preseason games. But the big thing is, like, so composed, not panicky, looked comfortable. Jordan Love did. Looked calm, looked cool, looked collected. Yeah, we can look at the stat lines. We can look at the quarterback rating of a 123.2. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The guy just looked like he belonged. He didn't panic. He didn't, make any big mistakes. Yeah, the sack, he probably should have gotten rid of the ball there. But overall, I think you got to be impressed. And you got to give a pretty high grade to Jordan Love, don't you? Was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty darn good. Absolutely. Will this be the Jordan Love for every single game? Probably not. Odds are probably not, but ideally, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're a Packers fan, you want this to be every single game, but you got to be impressed with what you saw from Jordan Love. The two plays, all right, before I get to the two plays, but I thought Greg Olsen displayed why, to me, he is the best color commentator on television for these football games. But as he noted multiple times, the numbers that stand out for Jordan Love, his third down numbers. Again, this is a young quarterback making his second career start, but all the talk in the offseason, replacing the legend. Packers maybe going, down the tanks. All that talk. And yet Jordan Love, his third down numbers, his red zone offense, his third down conversions. Fantastic. Third and fourth down, 8 for 10, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns, a QB rating, passer rating, excuse me, perfect, 158.3. To have those numbers on third down, fourth down even too, fantastic. That just shows composure. That shows this guy isn't too he isn't doesn't shy away from the limelight, embraces it. Excelled in it, at least for one game. So, I mean, I don't know what else we could say about Jordan Love that hasn't already been said. But that was a fantastic game, and hopefully, it's something that we'll continue to see. I'm sure we'll have some down games from Jordan Love at some point. Not every good quarterback, every quarterback has it, but man, to go into Chicago and perform the way that he did was fantastic. But the two plays that really stood out to me with that kind of composure and that calm, cool collectiveness was the throwback to Aaron Jones. I mean, it kind of reminded me, maybe when you were a kid, depending on your age, when you're playing basketball and you're doing the fadeaway and you're yelling Kobe or Jordan or anything like that. It almost looked like a fadeaway jump shot. But to, turn your back and kind of do that jump back and throw it all the way to Aaron Jones and make a perfect throw to him. And then Aaron Jones and the blockers doing the rest. That stood out to me for a younger quarterback, an inexperienced quarterback. Because that's may look easy on the television, but I guarantee you to actually do that probably was, a little nerve-wracking and such. But then the fumbled snap, pick it up, calm, cool, collective, finds Musgrave wide open down the side. Now, I think I was like Greg Olsen. I'm like, oh God, that guy ain't gonna catch it. He's gonna get his feet are tangled up and such, and it's just gonna be one of those like, oh no. So at least he did catch it. But for Jordan Love to pick up that fumble and still continue to look down the field and make that play. And then how about that throw to Romeo Doubs? I mean, already trusting your wide receivers to make throws like that. And for Romeo to make that catch. Mwah! Chef's kiss, right? Beautiful. Beautiful. And I mentioned in the opener, don't forget about Anders Carlson. I said it many times in the preseason, and I think a lot of you were the same exact way. Same exact way. We're going to be nervous about the kicking situation. Every extra point, every field goal, it's going to be nerve-wracking. You're going to be holding on to the edge of your seat. You're going to be chewing your fingernails. You're going to be cussing, whatever. Anders was perfect, including a 52-yard field goal before the half, down the middle, 5 for 5 on extra points. I mean, those kicks weren't even close. They were in. I know it's just one game, but come on. I'm going to give a tip of the cap to the rookie kicker, Anders Carlson. Heck, even Daniel Whalen, the punter, showing some of the hang time, pinning it down to the 10 for those rookie kickers. First game, passing with flying colors. Shout out, because I know a lot of times we don't talk about the kicking game unless something bad is happening. And something's, that's what we were doing all preseason, right? All training camp, talking about, oh, God, the kicking game's going to stink this year. Didn't hear a word about it during the game because the guy did his job. So, fantastic from Anders Carlson. Hopefully, those yips, the struggles in practice, kind of behind him. And, I mean, you think about it, too. Yeah, he had the first preseason game, he missed a couple kicks. But after that, it was kind of like, oh, well, he's struggling in practice. But when he gets to the games, he's like pretty darn solid. So, and I think, too, another thing that really stood out to me was, for all the talk about the offense, is it going to be different? Is it going to change? Is it going to be more of a Matt LaFleur style offense? We saw glimpses of that in this game. We saw a lot of motion, pre-snap motion. We saw a lot of that. I would say more so. It's not to say we didn't see that in Aaron Rodgers' tenure, but we know. He's said it before. It's widely known. Aaron Rodgers is not a big fan of motion, receivers going in motion. Just was never a fan of that. Peyton Manning with the Colts offense, they never did that too. Aaron talked about that in the past, liking that, a similar style offense like that, likes to read the defense and kind of adjust that way and do things that way. LaFleur, growing up under the Shanahan system, a lot of motion, misdirection, trying to create mismatches, that sort of thing. I think we saw that a little bit more, and I know it's just one game, and it's not to say, again, that they never did that with Aaron, because obviously there was a little bit of a compromise and things, but I think we're going to continue to see more of that stuff to make things a little bit easier for Jordan Love. Seeing, attacking the middle of the field a little bit more too. But that really kind of stood out to me too, is like, yep, there's seems to be, at least in this game, a little bit more motion. A little bit more, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, whatever they may be. And I think that's going to be a trend that you're going to continue to see throughout the rest of this regular season. So what stood out to you the most? What really stood out to you the most? Come on, Packers fans. I want to hear from you. Don't shy away, baby. Hit me up with a text, 715-830-1912. Let's light up the Shoe Doctors bullpen line on a flippin' Victory Monday, okay? Let's go. Hit us up. We got a few to get to here. I want to give you a few more minutes and hit me up with some more texts, all right? So let's take a quick break, and we'll be back to finish up this first hour. Get to your texts after these quick words. Coming up this Friday, we're going to be at Blue Marble Pub after the show. So about 10 a.m. from 10 to 1, Blue Marble Pub's going to be doing breakfast. It's Oktoberfest and such, but we're going to be doing a live taping of the Man Cave podcast over there. Brandenburg and myself will be over there too. But if you stop on by, we're going to buy you a beer too. So put it on your schedules if you got some free time. Maybe you have the day off this Friday. Okay, this Friday, September 15th, over at Blue Marble Pub in Chippewa Falls. Okay, so 10 to 1, they're going to be doing kind of a breakfast ordeal there. We'll be doing a live taping of the Man Cave podcast, plus we'll buy you a beer too. So how about that? Can't ask for anything better if you have the day off, right? So we'll see you Friday, 10 to 1. We'll be over there probably a little bit shortly before 10 just to set up and such, but get things going there at 10 a.m. Jake on the YouTube video stream. Good to hear from Mr. Jake here this morning. That O-line was fantastic. The D-line looked energized the entire game, hats flying to the ball on every play. There's something about this young, cohesive group. So pumped for the rest of the year. Jake, you're exactly right about that offensive line, and I kind of feel bad for not even mentioning them in the first part because you're right. Matt LaFleur, again, acknowledged that after the game, too. Said if it wasn't for, putting pressure on Justin Fields and protecting Jordan Love, they're probably, maybe don't come away with a victory in that game. And again, offensive line just doing their thing and maybe doesn't, get a lot of the attention, the limelight because, well, they're just going up there and doing what they do best. Dave Bakhtiari for not practicing since what was it, August 30th. He looks pretty good. But he didn't hear a lot of those guys' names called, right? He didn't really hear it. So fantastic. Jake, you're absolutely right about the offensive line. Brian also on the video stream. Studs, Aaron Jones, rookie and second-year defensive players. Walker, Wyatt, Van Ness, duds, the Badger defense. Josh on the Texan line, what stood out for me was Jaden Reed and the defense. Got a little nervous there with Jaden Reed when Love threw that jump ball down there and Jaden Reed kind of grabbing, his ankle or knee or lower leg there and then having being helped off the field. It's like, oh, no. But it was just cramps, which, whew, it looked worse, right? I mean, just the reaction from Reed because it looked like he was kind of, in a lot of pain on the field and being helped off. But he was on the field on that onside kick. He was the one who grabbed it. So looks like they dodged a bullet with Jaden Reed. And hopefully the same could be said about Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones did say after the game that he could have played. He could have went back in there. But based off what the score was like and how everything was going, that was more caution. He actually did thank Matt LaFleur for always looking out, for them and in the best interest. So hopefully they're. I know Matt LaFleur also said after the game that they're hoping it was just cramps with Aaron Jones, but I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see Aaron Jones practice this week, or we're very limited if that at all. So hopefully he's okay because he showed just how much he's a catalyst for this offense. He's the one that gets it going. He's the heart and soul Romeo Dobbs mentioned it after the game, talking about Aaron Jones' leadership and the energizer and how he got it going and such. I mean, they need 33 on that field for this season. No doubt about it. Dustin going, that sack by Van Ness. You're right. Mentioned it a little bit earlier. I hope nobody kind of, there was a lot of good plays and a lot of positivity from the game. So some of them aren't maybe getting a lot of attention, but that was a sweet sack by Lucas Van Ness there to track down Justin Fields and come away with that sack for the rookie. Two rookies getting sacks there with Carl Brooks getting one there too. Devontae Wyatt, 1.5 sacks. Devontae Wyatt had himself a game too. 2 tackles for loss, couple of quarterback hits. Devontae Wyatt, we were talking about him and he looked good in preseason, looked good in training camp. And this was a guy that had to jump up and take a leap this year in his second year. Didn't have a lot of playing time last year. So he had to come in and, a lot of expectations to make that jump this year. And When you look at his line, 3 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, then 2 quarterback hits. Then he was in on that forced fumble with Kenny Clark. Dang good game for Devontae Wyatt. Dang good game for Devontae Wyatt. Living a dream, Jeff. Good morning, Dan. I was impressed with Love. He spread the ball around with no trust issues. Defensive front was awesome. Only concern is forward, bad angles, and he has to wrap up when tackling, especially at safety position. All in all, Bears still suck. Go, Pack, go. Big Worm, one thing that really stuck out to me in the game was our defense. They came out with a little chip and arrogance on their shoulders. Haven't seen that in a while. I love it. So it seems like the majority of you, the thing that really stood out to the majority of you was the defense, was the defense standing up. And again, I agree with all of you. I agree with all of you so far, and what really kind of stood out and some of the positives in this situation. Defense just flying around. Everybody was gravitating towards the ball. Whoever had the ball, it was like not just one tackler a lot of times going over there. And I go back to those blowing up those wide receiver screens. Darnell Savage, Alexander, Rasul Douglas, blowing those plays up. Aggressive. Hopefully this is something that they can continue for 16 games, 16 more games this season. And I don't know if it's made a difference or not. It's just one game, not a whole lot to go off of here, but Joe Barry moving up into booth. Maybe it was a subtle change like that where he can, see the whole field. And I heard Mike Pettin say this one time too when he was with Green Bay, being up in the booth, and he made the comment about, now he's got like all of his sheets or papers in front of him, and Joe Barry said the same thing like a couple weeks ago. I don't know if that's common theme or anything like that, but maybe it's a small little adjustment like that will help improve this defense. Maybe, possibly, I don't know, but they just, I agree with a lot of you. They looked a little bit more aggressive. They looked a little bit more, just they looked better, and just hopefully they can continue to do that for the rest of the season. And you look at spreading the ball around here too. No Christian Watson, so. And then Romeo Doubs, it sounded like he was going to be on a pitch count. I don't know how much of that actually worked out there towards the end, and but he grabbed a couple touchdown passes there. But Romeo Doubs, 4 catches for 26 yards. Jaden Reed, 2 catches for 48 yards. Luke Musgrave, 3 catches for 50. Aaron Jones, 2 catches for 86. A.J. Dillon had a couple catches. Martori had a couple of catches as well. Dontavian Wicks, 2 targets, no catches. Malik Heath, 1 target, no catches. So even with no Christian Watson, and I mean, Green Bay only threw the ball 27 times, still able to put up 31 points on offense. Another one coming from the defense. Not bad. Winning the turnover battle. +2. +2 in the turnover battle. Overall, what would you grade this game for Green Bay? B+? Or is that too low? Would you go A-? B+ too high? I'm kind of at a B+ right now. Maybe that is a little bit too hard. I don't know, but man, it felt good, right? It felt good, and maybe it's just because I don't know, like talking about it all off season, talking about it in preseason and training camp. Your expectations for this ball club, and everybody was kind of varying degrees and all that, and I know we talked about it at length, like going into this season, the excitement level was a different type of excitement and that sort of stuff. And maybe it was just because you had a little bit lower expectations heading into it, or you didn't know what to really expect from this team, and go in there and beat the Bears in Chicago 38-20. Man, was I pumped. I was in such a good mood watching that game last night. Victory scotching it up in the man cave. It was just good. And I don't know how many of these moments we're going to have throughout this entire season. It might be an up and down thing. It might be up and down on offense, considering there's a lot of youngsters at the skill position players. So I'm going to enjoy every W that we get. And last night, that was a fantastic W. I don't know how many more we're going to get, but man, was I pumped. And kind of going back to Jake, too, that young cohesiveness from this group that's got him excited. We've talked about that, too. Is like, I know we mentioned it a couple times in training camp and preseason. What's got me excited is to see Jordan Love grow with these young guys like a Musgrave. Musgrave's going to get better. He's going to get better, right? He missed, kind of maybe got caught up with his feet and such when Jordan Love missed him, overthrew him a little bit. But as Greg Olson kind of pointed out, Luke Musgraves, got to do a better job, maybe going up higher and such. And then, the wide open catch there where his feet get tangled up. Musgrave's going to get better. He's going to get better. He's going to learn from that. Okay. More experience. He's going to get better. Jordan Love is going to continue to grow, I feel like. These younger wide receivers, they're going to continue to grow and get better too. These guys are going to do it all together. And that, again, to kind of feed off what Jake said in our video stream, that's the exciting part. This young cohesive group growing together and playing and logging these snaps all together. Man, it was a lot of fun yesterday. And I think that win, I think it did a lot too. They talked about it after the game. Hey, nobody kind of gave us a shot. And I know it's an overplayed thing in sports. Nobody gave us a shot. Nobody believed in us. But really, there wasn't a lot of people that thought too much of Green Bay, and there's probably still going to be up in the air. But I think that game, and hopefully a game like that from yesterday just kind of gives that confidence to this team. Like, hey, we believed or we thought we could be a good team. And having a game like that maybe kind of boosts up that confidence a little bit more or solidifies that confidence that they had. All right, keep your thoughts coming, though. Hit us up with a text. What stood out to you the most? Come on, Packers fans. Let's hear from you. Text us, 715-830-1912. Comment on the video stream. Hit me up on Twitter or on Facebook. It's a Victory Monday, and it's against the Bears in Chicago. All right? Got to be more jacked up. Let's go. Hit us up. All right? I want to hear from you. Okay? We're going to talk some baseball coming up here, too. Brewers still up 3 games against the Cubbies in the division. Flirted with history yesterday, but nonetheless, they did take 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. Now begin a 4-game series against Miami. Could be a very, very big series. Miami is just a half game out of a wild card spot, so this is a big series for them, but also a big series for the Brewers to continue to stay up on the Cubs in first place since the Cubs are taking on the Rockies. All right, 1 in. We got 2 more to go. We'll be back. Second hour kicking off on this Monday morning. Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. If it's on the radio dials at 105.1 FM or 790 AM, maybe online, sportstalk1051.com, Google and Alexa home devices, or the video stream. If you're up listening on the video stream, give us a little shout out over there. Coming up here at the bottom of the hour, Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire, WEAU 13 News will be hopping on. We'll catch up on some of the local stuff going on. Another week of prep football action in the books. Blue Gold football falling this past weekend, but we'll catch up on everything with JC in the EC. It is a Studs and Duds Monday, so let us know who is on your Studs and Duds list. Maybe a little bit more studs than duds. I think we all know probably everybody's probably got the Badgers on their duds list there. But anybody else got some maybe other duds that they want to put on there? Maybe you want to put the Bengals for the performance they had yesterday, or the Steelers, or Giants, or whatever it may be. Let us know. Okay, text, tweet it, Facebook, video stream it, whatever works best for you. We're going to talk some baseball coming up here in just a minute. We got Badger football to recap too, and I know that one may not be the most positive conversation that we're going to have. But hey, if you got something that you want to vent about the Badger football team with their loss Saturday night against Washington State, now is the time. Vent it, get it off your chest. It's kind of a little, maybe a grind my gears, or maybe you want to save it for tomorrow's grind my gears Tuesday surveyor. But if you want to gripe about something, you want to get something off your chest about that Badger football team or about that Badger football game on Saturday, let us know via the texting line, the Shoe Doctors bullpen line there. Let's kick off this hour, though, as we usually do, with some sports nuggets of the day brought to you by Ansay Associates. 1912, Eddie Collins with the Philadelphia Athletics stole 6 bases against the Detroit Tigers. 1943, the NHL approved the Hockey Hall of Fame. The official building for the Hall of Fame was not opened until August 26, 1961. Maybe the Brewers and Yankees were on track for this record here. 1946, the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds played to a scoreless tie in 19 innings. Let's go with 1985. Pete Rose achieved hit number 4,192 to break the record held by Ty Cobb. And I remember this, so I would have been 13? Yeah, 13. Brett Favre and Robert Brooks completed a 99-yard touchdown reception against the Chicago Bears to tie an NFL record. I remember watching that in my bedroom as a 13-year-old, so I would have been 8th grade. School night, because I believe it was a Monday night game, on my little 13-inch black and white TV. I don't know why, but I vividly remember that play on a school night. Probably wasn't supposed to be watching it, but I was watching it on a little 13-inch black and white television, didn't have the volume up, and I remember that play. I remember that play vividly. I don't know why, but do the rest of you have these when you were younger? These random memories from watching a Packer game or a Brewers game or a Badger game that just stick in your mind. I remember that one for whatever reason. I remember there's a bunch of them I remember too, but and obviously we all probably know the big ones, or we remember the big ones and that sort of stuff. But just random ones there, I remember that one. I don't know why, but yeah, that one. I can still picture it like it was yesterday. So those are some of your sports nuggets of the day. Again, brought to you by Ansay Associates. How many of you, as you're getting ready for the Packers game yesterday, and you're kind of following along with the Brewers game, how many of you is kind of thinking, watching this Brewers no-hitter, Corbin Burns threw 8. Then they ended up going with Devin Williams because the Brewers didn't score a run. And then, they get to the 11th. How many of you, though, were still thinking they're still going to lose this game? I hate thinking that way. but it's just like, get one run. It just felt like, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but it felt like, even though it was like 0-0 in the Brewers, we're throwing this no hitter. I'm like, oh, I'm following along with that. Watching the game, following along with the Brewers to see if history was going to be made, and I'm just like, they're still going to lose. They're still going to lose, and they won the first two games. I mean, put up 8 runs and 9 runs in the first two, but I just had this feeling in my stomach, in my gut, that they were still going to lose that game. And what a weird game! What a weird game. I know our studs and duds list is going to be probably heavy on football and heavy on some Packers players, but I'm putting Sal Frelick on there for that catch that he made late in the game. I mean, because especially, to preserve the no-hitter there, colliding with Joey Weimer up there. Joey Weimer's a big boy, too. To make that catch, that was pretty darn sweet. So I know the studs and duds list for a lot of people are going to be really football heavy, but Sal Frelick gets a nod for the stud for that catch. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, it's all over the internet. It's on social media and such. Just look it up. It's up there. I even think it's on Brewers.com too. But nonetheless, positive though. It was kind of a downer not to get the win and not get Corbin Burns a no hitter yesterday. But nonetheless, Brewers did take 2 out of 3 against the Yankees this weekend, against the Yankees team that was playing better as of late too. So to go into New York and the Brewers coming off of that series loss against Pittsburgh, so to go to New York and take 2 out of 3, overall a good weekend. Let's call a spade a spade. That's a good weekend for the Brewers, and they still remain 3 up on the Chicago Cubs for first place in the division. But now we got an interesting week coming up here, or at least an interesting next few days here when it comes to the Crew. They return home, and they'll be home until next Sunday, all the way through next Sunday. But it starts with a 4-game series against Miami, a Miami team that is fighting for a wild card spot. Right now, just a half a game out from a wild card spot. And the Brewers still in a position where they're trying to hold off the Chicago Cubs and win this division. And now that we're doing some scoreboard watching with this thing, you're looking at it. Brewers welcome the Marlins, who are right in it for a wild card spot, and the Cubbies take on the Rockies, who happen to have the worst record in the National League. So you're looking at it on paper, it's like, ooh, advantage probably to the Cubs. Probably to the Cubs here a little bit, right? Well, let's hope the Brewers can take advantage of being at AmFam Field and picking up a series win, at least taking 3 out of 4 here, right? It starts tonight with Brandon Woodruff on the mound. Woodruff 4-1. Brandon Woodruff has been looking spectacular as of late. Hopefully this is something he can continue to do. But 4-1 with a 2.30 ERA. He's coming off of that win against Pittsburgh, where he went 7 innings, only giving up 2 hits, no earned runs, striking out 6. If you want to look at what Brandon Woodruff has done since he came back, so his first game was back on August 6th. He finished the month of August 2-1 with a 3.45 ERA. He's got 1 game in September, that game against Pittsburgh. But if you're looking at his last couple of games here, if we want to look at that, I mean, the guy has been pretty spectacular since August 25th, that game against the Dodgers there. He went 6 innings, 1 earned run, picked up the win, right? Picked up the win. August 30th against the Cubs, went 6 innings, 2 earned runs, no decision. Then that game against Pittsburgh that we just mentioned. The only kind of really, I guess, I don't know the best way to phrase this, but I guess the one bad game he has on here since his return was a no decision against Texas when he went 5 1/3 and gave up 4 earned runs and 2 home runs, because even before that against the White Sox, 2 earned runs, picked up the win. His first game back, picked up the loss against Pittsburgh, but 2 earned runs, and both were solo shot home runs. So, I mean, Brandon Woodruff looks like vintage Brandon Woodruff right now. And hopefully this is something he can continue. And heck, I mean, if he's going to continue this hot streak, maybe the Brewers can, I don't know, go 3 straight months with a pitcher of the month. I know it's just one game in September here for Woody, but Burns was the National League Pitcher of the Month in July. Freddie was the National League Pitcher of the Month in August. Let's make Brandon Woodruff the National League Pitcher in September. So you're looking at the matchups here, pitching matchup with these lineups. Outside of a couple of hitters here, not really a ton of experience. Bell for Miami's got 25 career at bats against Brandon Woodruff, and he's hitting just 120. Everybody else on each side of the lineup here, you're talking about a couple games worth here. Luzardo's going for Miami, who is a left-handed pitcher, and he's 9-8 with a 3.59 ERA. So just kind of looking ahead to the rest of the series here. Freddie Peralta is going to go on the mound for the Crew tomorrow. So we get strikeout Freddie on the mound. And then it's a little bit up in the air here for the Crew. Still a TBD for Wednesday and TBD for Thursday. So maybe Adrian Hauser. I know there's some talk about him potentially coming back and being activated off the list. Could he get a start on there? We'll kind of see how it all plays out here. But this is I think, a big 4-game series for the Crew. You're going up against a team that's right now a playoff caliber team because they're just a half game out from a wild card spot. And you're looking at, and I know the Brewers aren't probably looking at what the Cubs and maybe they're kind of paying attention to it a little bit. I mean, we're all human, right? We're all kind of human in this thing. But you're looking at the Cubs and they got the Rockies. This puts a little bit more pressure on this series for the Brewers to come away with a series win at AmFam Field too. I think you at least got to take 3 out of 4, assuming that the Cubs are going to win this series against the Rockies. And then, the Cubs just got done playing the Diamondbacks. After this series against the Rockies, they're going to be on the road and facing the Diamondbacks in Arizona. So hopefully Diamondbacks can help out the Brewers by this weekend. But you're looking at, Brewers are a better team at home this year. They're 40-28. 40-28. On the road, they're just 4 games above 500. They're 39-35. So take advantage of the fact that they're at home. Take advantage that you got Brandon Woodruff and Freddie Peralta for your first 2 starts at AmFam Field and get this series done. Get some, that you overall had a good week. I know we're really hyper-focused on the game from yesterday, but overall, taking 2 out of 3 against a Yankees team in New York that has been playing better baseball, that's a good weekend for the Crew. It's a good weekend for the Crew. You're looking at kind of the update or where everything kind of stands right now. Atlanta's already clinched a spot. They've already clinched a playoff spot in Major League Baseball, the only Major League Baseball team to do so. Dodgers still leading their division. Brewers still leading their division. Philly still holding on to number 1 wild card spot. Cubs are at number 2. Arizona sitting at 3. But as we mentioned, Miami's just a half game out. But this thing is far from settled because you got San Francisco 1.5 back. They've got Cleveland coming up. And Cincinnati's also 1.5 back. They're going up against Detroit. Winnable games, winnable series for both San Francisco and Cincinnati. Then it's Padres are next, but they're 8 back. So it's those teams that are still left. Baltimore still leading your division. AL East. Houston now leading in the West. Minnesota, the Twinnies, still holding on to the AL Central right now. Your wild card teams in the American League: Tampa Bay, Toronto, Seattle, and Texas is a half game out. And then it's Boston at 6. So, I mean, that looks to be, when you're looking at, races left in the American League, a little bit of the AL West race coming into play here, AL East, but then, maybe for that final wild card spot too. So, but that's where things kind of stand right now for Major League Baseball. So, all right. So Sam stud Hunter Waller, dud referees in the Badgers game. All right, let's take a quick break here. Then we're going to catch up with Justice Cleveland, WEAU Sports Director Extraordinaire, coming up in just a few minutes. We'll catch up on some of the local stuff with him. We'll get to that Badger game coming up a little bit later on here, too. Still looking for what stood out to you in that Packers victory. What was one thing, or what was the main thing that really stood out to you in that Packers victory over the Bears? A lot of you going with the defense, obviously. Still got a lot of people going with Jordan Love too. But what stood out to you the most in that victory against the Chicago? Let us know. Hit us up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back with more after these few words. Already the bottom of the hour here this morning on this Victory Monday morning, and making his debut back in the studio. We're both wearing the glasses this morning too,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
It must be
Putting contacts in is way too much work. On a Monday, you expecting me to do that much?
right. I usually, when I'm wearing glasses, it's usually I have a headache or I'm just like I'm too tired to even mess with that. So, how you doing, man?
Good,
Yeah, good to see ya.
Yeah, it's nice to
Appreciate
be
you
back.
stopping by.
It's like rare. It's like Haley's Comet. I come back into the studio here every once in a while.
Well, we appreciate it, buddy. And before we kind of get back to some more green and gold chat with you, I want to catch up on some local stuff here first because, well, how about shout out Eau Claire North?
Yes.
For their football team. Another win, blanking Superior, 21-0. That program's really on the rise right now.
Yes,
isn't
and
it?
that is great. I mean, I've been here since 2010, and the last time they did this was before I was here.
Yeah.
So it's been a long while. So now, obviously, last year they made a couple of steps, getting multiple wins.
Mm-hmm.
And now to be 3-1 at this point in the season, and now you know what, you got to be thinking about playoffs at this point, and getting a couple more wins. And they got Chippewa Falls coming up this weekend, and that should be a really fun game. To match up there. So yeah, Matt McGinnis has done a great job with that program. The kids have bought in. The numbers are increasing, and that's what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And numbers are huge when it comes to football, especially at a D1 program like that. So it's fun to watch. I mean, we kind of had that for North with the hockey program a few years back, and see the football program doing that. It's always fun to see these. You want everybody to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
When you're especially in prep sports, obviously that can't happen. But
where
for the years that North football has had, that been down for so many years, to have this bright light of hope coming to them is something you really love to see, and you can tell that it's just the energy going to the student body from that team now too.
Mm-hmm.
They believe.
Yep.
And that is credit a lot to Matt McGinnis for what he's done.
Yeah. Can you believe we're already 4 weeks into? I know it's 3 mans a week behind, but I don't want to say regular, but like 4 weeks into 11-man football already. Heading into week 5 coming up here.
We're halfway through the regular season.
That's unreal.
Yeah, it goes by.
Unreal.
It is a season that goes by so quickly. Obviously, because you have one game every week. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, we go, and by this time next month, we'll be talking about playoffs.
Because it's like, is it conference winning record that is kind of the first one? I mean, I know Brandon tries to explain it once in a while, but there's like different factors.
Yeah, well, it's 500 or winning record in conference, but if the pool isn't big enough, teams that have under a 500 record can get in. That if the computer figures out, because I think it was a couple of years ago, Chippewa Falls made it in with a losing record. I think Stanley Boyd last year was the same thing. So there's a formula to it, because you got to break it all into 7 divisions,
right?
And then if there's teams left over that aren't there, they can get in as well. So
it's
a lot of formulas, and we don't like to talk math too much.
Yeah, we don't do that a whole lot here. We made that mistake. We had Rob Domofsky on the other day last week, and he's like trying to do something. He's like, this is why I got into journalism, so I didn't have to do math.
Right.
So I'm like,
the only math Rob likes to do is his golf
course. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Lower the better.
Well, for him too. From what I've heard, he's a great golfer.
So. Yeah. I don't know where he's got the basketball. I mean, that's got some good genes somewhere around there. So
athletic. It's a sports writing, I guess, transfers to athletic prowess.
Right. How about I got to give Mondovi too against Stanley Boyd with a big time win over
a good matchup there too. I mean, you had Stanley Boyd, another team that's been back on the rise. I mean, Stanley Boyd's had great teams throughout, but they were younger the last couple of years, came back, got a big win over Fall Creek. But Mondovi, they're trying to prove they're not a one-hit wonder.
Right.
You make it to the state finals last year. Obviously maybe one of the toughest conferences you can play with in the Clover Belt. So, yeah, I mean, that is a huge win for Mondovi, considering they didn't play the week before because they had a forfeit against Osseo Fairchild. Right. So, I mean, you can say it's a bye week, but it's also you're not on the field playing.
Right.
So that can work both ways, especially in high school. But, yeah, big win for them, and see what the season holds out. I know it's a couple of weeks, and Regis and Mondovi matchup again.
Yeah, we were looking at that Friday. Regis' schedule coming up here in the next 3 weeks. It's like Mondovi, they got Stanley Boyd, and Fall Creek's on there too. Yeah.
And Fall Creek, I mean, they've had struggles the last couple of weeks here. Yeah, they lost to Neilsville Grant in a great game there in Neilsville. But don't count them out.
Mm-hmm.
And and if there's any game that people for Fall Creek will get up for, it's Regis.
Yep.
I learned that right away when I started here. Is that is an intense rivalry in green right there.
Absolutely. I know it was like, I think Brandon mentioned it was like the 111th meeting on Friday between like Chippewa Falls and Menominee, which that is just unreal too,
Yeah.
to how many matchups there. But a good game, and Mike Sins has that team rolling right now. Menominee's undefeated.
He really did. And, last year they struggled a little bit, still made the playoffs, and that was again those young squads, but they got a lot of tough, gritty experience last year that has really turned the corner this year. And they got a running back in Steele Schaefer that is you hear his name a lot because he can make highlights. It's a tradition unlike any other. If you talk about the running backs at Menominee, just they keep churning them out, which is, and they also usually have a good quarterback to go with it. And that's what they have this year. And yeah, I mean, watching them against Chippewa Falls gave them a good fight. Yep. And Chippewa's doing that. They're another young team that has been in every game they've been in, just haven't been able to get the victories to turn out. So Big Rivers, I was talking with Brandon about this. Is this probably as from top to bottom as even as the Big Rivers has been in a long, long time? I mean, Memorial, who lost against New Richmond this past weekend, but
New Richmond's a really good team.
New Richmond arguably could be the best team in the conference. We'll see, obviously, when they end up meeting up with maybe Menominee there, but they beat River Falls, and that was a team that could be right up there as well. I mean, all these teams are so even. So it's been a lot of fun at these games, and you're going to see some upsets come towards the end of the year. Yeah. I guarantee you. You're going to see some team that you think, oh, this team's top team in the conference. I think one of these teams that are in the middle can find a way to win.
Yeah. And I know McDonald Central got another big win too, 27-25 over Owen Withee in 8-man football. Week prior was that big win over Thorpe too.
Right.
There too. So they're rolling again, it seems like.
And I think we're in a good area for some of the top 8-player teams in the state.
Yeah.
You got Thorpe that's McDonald getting that win over them the week before was huge.
Yep. Gilman put up 77 points.
Gilman is just a machine. And Gilman was, a good team, playoff team year after year, going to state a couple of years, I believe, when I was first started here in 11-man.
Yep.
And they've just kept that going. So it's fun to watch that grow and grow and grow.
Right.
To the point where you watch the games, they're fun. They are a lot of fun. There's a lot of action, but it's football.
Right.
You don't really notice it when you're there watching it, that it's just a little smaller field, because it's really is football. And if these teams want to keep their, a lot of these teams don't want to go up. That's how you got to keep you're going to play 8-man, and it's been growing and growing.
Absolutely. Blue Gold's wise for football. After a big opening week, they did fall to Coe College down in Iowa. Coe College is pretty solid.
It's obviously getting that win at home was big the week before. Obviously, there's going to be bumps in the road. But as Rob Erickson, I think, has done a good job of. They'll learn from it. They will. And they got another game coming up this week back at home, and we'll see what they can do with that against, I believe it's Bethel.
Yep. So, I know we got other fall sports are going on too. Everything's kind of in full swing.
Oh, yeah. We got volleyball, cross country. Soccer. I believe we got North Memorial boys soccer matchup this week, and that'll be fun to watch.
I know we just had Memorial Hudson, a few days ago?
Yeah, on Friday or on Thursday. That was, I showed up for the second half of that, and that was just intense. It's always intense. I wanted to make sure to get to see that, because when those two teams meet on the pitch, it's always just intense. And it was another one of them, and it almost was appropriate that it ended in a 1-1 draw.
1-1 tie there. Yep. Yeah. So, well, Justice, appreciate you breaking down some of the high school local football stuff there. Catching up on a couple of texts here. Of course, it is Packer season, so we know a lot of people are texting about the Packers now. What stood out to me, Packers' ability to not let small mistakes snowball like last year. This is from Dennis. Couple of 3-and-outs. They didn't let that dictate the rest of the game. Penalty, no problem. Just keep rolling. 3rd and 4th down conversions were the highlight for me, though. Aaron, it's good to hear from you again, Aaron. What surprised? I'm surprised with just how bad the Bears still look, especially after having the #1 pick and then being so active in free agency. I mean, Packers looked awesome, but the Bears looked like they did not improve at all. We've been asking this morning, JC, what really stood out to you in the most in that Packers game? And there's a few things you can go.
Oh yeah.
With this, but if you had to narrow it down to maybe just one or two, what were one of the main things that really stood out to you?
Well, one of the things I was thinking while watching the game was just the different I know this might be a broad thing, but the different energy it is watching this team compared to what it's been for the last 20 years, 25, 30 years, is that as much as Jordan Love was a storyline, he's not the team. Whereas it's been before, it's Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Packers.
Yep.
This was as much. It was fun because it's the whole team, and that whole team's young. It's almost similar to the Brewers with how many young guys they keep bringing up. Every time something would happen with the Packers, you're like, oh, that's another young guy. And how poised everybody who was young looked.
Yeah.
Reed looked poised. And that one play where
the sack, I mentioned, a buddy of mine told me, he's like, a lot of people are probably just going to assume that's a normal play. No, not when you factor in its Fields.
The fastest, arguably the fastest quarterback in the NFL, could not turn the corner against Van. And that's one of those right there where you're like, whoa. That's something we haven't seen from Packers interior linemen like that, being able to chase down a quarterback and get the sack. You might be able to chase him around the corner.
Right.
But, man, and they did such a good job of containing Fields. He had some. He's going to get it.
Yep.
Especially when, that pocket in the middle comes up and then the middle of the field's open. But the pursuit was great. And even clogging it up to a little where he never was going to break one for 40 yards. It was, I was impressed by that. I mean, you can go defense against Justin Fields. Special teams wise, I loved the energy coming from the special teams.
Heck, Anders Carlson, give him for as much we were going to be nervous, and I was one of those that was going to be nervous with every single kick. Dude hits a 52-yarder, and he's perfect from extra point. And there was, not even a kick that was like, ooh, he just barely got it in there.
Yeah, the only cringy thing about that field goal was the fact that I think Green Bay forgot the clock was running. I'm sitting there watching the play clock in the game clock, and I'm like, what are they doing?
Are they watching the play clock instead of the game clock or something like that?
Why would you intentionally run the clock down to 4 seconds to kick a 52-yard field goal when there was, 24, 25 left?
Yeah.
Something happened there. I think that's where you, with a young team, maybe a little hiccup, but that's also on Matt LaFleur.
Right.
That's Mike McCarthy levels of clock mismanagement at the end of a half there. So, but there weren't that many hiccups like that. You had the Ford getting the personal foul, which was like, okay, the Packers are back in midseason form for pushing somebody after the pile.
I loved Greg Olson's comment too. He's like, yeah, that's just frustration because he got bulldozed.
He did. Oh, that's exactly what it was. I don't know what he was trying to prove by doing that afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, there were so many fun things to watch in this game. But there's also a lot of little learning moments that are going to help that coaching staff. And that means this team has the potential to be better. Now, is it so much that the Packers were as good as they were or the Bears were as bad as they were? That's the tough thing with week one to measure.
Right.
Because the Bears didn't look good.
No.
And at times looked horrible. I mean, that fumble in the third quarter that game should have been over at that point.
Right.
Packers kind of came back and just fumbled it. Not fumbled, literally just played horrible on that next drive.
Right.
And that's another learning moment there. But man, I mean, just looking at it, so much more positives than negatives coming into a first start for Jordan Love. But again, the story wasn't Jordan Love.
Right.
It was that whole team. And it was fun to see what the future might be for this Packers team.
I totally agree. I totally agree. You hit it on the head right away, because I was thinking about this last night and I forgot about it till you just mentioned it. A lot of, obviously, there's going to be the talking points for the national people are probably going to be like, well, look at Jordan Love. And I love that, they put up the graphic about Jordan Love's first start against the Bears and compared it to Aaron Rodgers. And then Greg Olson just completely demolished. He's like, yep, we're going to overreact to one game. That's what I love about Greg Olson too. He's like, but you're right, because it was a total team effort yesterday, wasn't it?
Oh, it was.
It was Jordan Love. It was Devontae Wyatt having a great game. It was Aaron Jones.
Yeah,
yes.
we forget. He kind of gets the veteran who gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah,
is what Aaron Jones can still do between the tackles and outside the tackles on that screenplay, which was one of the best design plays I've seen from a Packer offense in a long time. And
for a young quarterback to make that throw too, you know what it reminded me of? When we're playing a driveway and you're doing a fadeaway Kobe or Jordan shot, it was like that was that throw that he made.
I thought it was going to be overthrown when I first saw it.
Yeah.
Then for Jones, who doesn't get enough credit for his receiving ability. But man, I mean, you hope he's not. I don't know. I didn't see what came out after.
Yeah, I know LaFleur said afterwards, and actually James just asked us a question if we had heard an update. LaFleur said that they're hoping it's cramps. Jones talked and said that he could have went back in the game.
Okay.
He said it bit him a little bit. It didn't pull. He compared it to when he did pull a hamstring.
Yeah.
But he said shout out to Matt LaFleur for always looking out for, and he did admit the score had a lot to dictate, the outcome, which was actually a really good thing. And then Reed, to answer your question, James, those cramps, even though it looked really bad.
Yeah, that's it. When somebody grabs the back of their leg after falling like that, you're scared.
Because he was actually on the field. He's the one who recovered the onside kick. So he's
been fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that wide receiving, we were worried about it, but I think
Romeo Dobbs is going to be a dude, man.
This works out so much better than I think because it's Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
Because these guys are now growing up together.
Exactly.
Whereas Aaron had his guys.
Yep.
And if you didn't, you missed maybe the first pass of the season last year.
Yep. He's going to ignore you. I mean, even Randall Cobb said that in Hard Knocks, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, if he doesn't trust you, you're not getting the ball.
Right. Jordan Love trusts everybody right now.
Yeah.
It's what it looks like out there. And it was fun. Again, there's a lot to still grow on.
Oh, yeah.
And even running back wise, I don't know. This is my overreaction. Is A.J. Dillon going to make that next step?
I will be honest with you. A.J. Dillon was one of my, I was thinking about this last night too. It's it's just one game, but we're doing a little overreaction. That was the one I'm like, there's something still. It just didn't look like something was still missing.
Right. He doesn't have that extra. He had a couple of runs where he got the extra push there.
Yep.
But I don't know between the tackles how much he's really going to do. And then dropping the pass, which has been one of his biggest things the last few years, is just those little out swing passes.
Mm-hmm.
They go right off his hands, and it's happened more than once. So that's a guy you want to see make that next step. And probably the nicest guy in the National Football League, maybe.
Yep.
Mr. Ambassador to Door County,
and who wants to stay in Green Bay and wants to play his entire career there.
Right.
And
so you hope that he can find it. But right now, I mean, as a fullback, fine. But Packers really don't use a fullback as a fullback.
Right.
They're going to throw a tight end back there if they need something like that. So we'll see how it goes. Again, one game. He might get featured a little bit more if there's something with Jones.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier here too, but. And I know LaFleur mentioned after the game, the offensive line keeping Jordan Love clean.
Right.
That entire game. Bakhtiari pulling his best Allen Iverson and not practicing, and still clean slate for him yesterday. So, I mean, to have a young, inexperienced quarterback, but to have a veteran offensive line in front of you too, pays big dividends for that group.
We'll find out tonight, though, if Aaron Rodgers, how that line protects him compared to where Jordan Love got protected. So, no, that is huge. I mean, the defensive line the same way. They played very, very well. I mean, it was just if you want an opening game with a first-year starter,
right?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That is the way you want it to go. So it was a storybook start. We'll see how the rest of the season goes, but a storybook start.
For all the talk, too, about how mobile Jordan Love is and, that element to his game, guy only rushed for 3 carries and 12 yards.
Right.
That's, I think, tells you, 1, the offensive line play was clean, but 2, he's still a guy that looks to throw instead of pulling the ball down and looking to run. That calm, cool, collected, that fumble, too. The fumbled snap. I think everybody in the world thought Luke Musgrave was going to drop that ball.
Oh, it was the longest flight of a ball in history, because how it goes when somebody's there, and he probably is thinking to himself,
right?
I'm the only guy here. Don't drop this. Don't drop this. Don't. And the stumble. I mean, it was fine with the stumble. I mean, it fit the play perfectly.
It did.
It was like Daniel Jones a couple years ago on the scramble, falling right before the end zone. It's everything about that play was broken, except it somehow worked.
Yeah. So. But to have that calmness to pick that up and kind of just roll out a little bit
and find somebody. He could have just taken off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to find somebody downfield, I mean, I think we saw a couple times where the downfield passes were the timing was off. I think it was the one to Musgraves or what.
Yeah, it was over his head there a little bit. Yeah.
And I don't know how much and they said it was more. Maybe he ran the wrong route.
Yep. Need to go up higher, I think Golson said.
But you didn't see Love come off with a disgusted.
No, and I know somebody had texted earlier. It's like one big thing I noticed: no facial expressions.
Right. But the one I did worry a little bit was a couple of those passes you saw Love do in the back foot.
Yep.
Which was it was very Rodgers-esque, and sometimes Rodgers could get away with it because he's been doing it for
the arm talent. Yeah.
But I mean, Love's arm looks strong.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those deep passes. I mean, It does remind me of Favre going to Rodgers and seeing Rodgers throw some of those first deep passes when he came in and be like, oh, he's got an arm that might be even as strong or stronger than Brett Favre.
Right.
Love so far right now looks like he has the arm strength that Aaron Rodgers had, at least last year for sure.
Yep.
So again, we're all happy right now. We'll see what happens at versus.
Well, that's the thing too, is like we don't know how the season's going to go. So that's why I'm loving it for
right.
Because it might not be this good, and for most of these games because we don't know.
And we, you go the next, get Atlanta and New Orleans, two teams that you're not quite sure where they're going to be.
Right.
Atlanta seems to have some weapons and young team. Yeah.
Like athletes, can we call them like positionless players, like Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson?
Right, and then he wasn't even the leading rusher on the was it Algier?
Yeah,
so you have another guy like that thrown out there. The defense is going to have their hands full. Offense wise, we'll see if they can keep it going. And then, to me, you look to week 4. Yeah, that Lions game is the one where I think a lot of people are going to just be like, okay, Thursday night, prime time.
An early litmus test.
Yeah, we'll see where the Lions are at that point. But, I mean, for them, they're the darlings right now after beating Kansas City. So we'll see what reality does the next couple weeks for all these teams.
But, final stat line on Jordan Love, I think that stands out for a lot of people. His 3rd and 4th downs, 8 for 10, perfect QB rating, 141 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And an opening scoring drive.
Yeah.
Which only happened once last year.
Right.
Which is crazy for a team that used to lead that stat or be up near the top. So.
And they were not good in red zone offense last year and took care of it yesterday, too.
Did they start calling it the gold zone again?
That was a Nathaniel Hackett thing.
So what's it called in is it the
white zone?
Yeah, I don't know.
Green? Yeah.
Well, that's for loading and unloading only.
That's oh my goodness. All right, we got to take a quick break here. Keep your texts coming though. I love it when it's football season because then more people have more stuff to say. So there you go. Hit us up, 715-830-1912. We'll have more with JC coming up in just a couple minutes. Oh, we just got about 5 minutes to the top of the hour here. Justice Cleveland, WEAU Sports Director Extraordinaire, also in studio here for about a half an hour or so.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. All right. Do we even want to talk about Badger football?
Oh, sure.
I mean, yeah. Came to fruition on Saturday night.
It was. I wasn't even surprised. I think people took the second half of the Buffalo game and thought that is how the whole season's going to be. And it's Buffalo. First of all, you're playing in that first game.
Right.
Nothing against Buffalo, but that's not Iowa.
Right.
That's not Purdue. That was Buffalo, and there was struggles in that game, but it was glossed over by the way they finished. And then we saw it against Washington State. Just struggles on both sides of the ball, and that's what happened.
So did we? And when I say we, I'm kind of talking about the majority of fans, but there was a lot of excitement for this year.
Oh yeah,
there was a lot of hope, and that. Did we overdo it a little bit?
I think.
Are we overreacting after 2 weeks, or?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there were so many fireworks associated with Fickell coming in. And just like the oohs and ahs with the pick, the guys they were getting to come into the team, that it was like, oh, this team's a national title contender.
Yeah.
It's like, hold it.
Right.
You remember where they were last year. You just hired this guy in the off season. I think you need a season at least to kind of feel out where everything is going to be. Now, I'm not saying they still have a chance to compete for the Big Ten title. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but you got to expect growing pains. You can't expect 13-0 the first season.
Right.
And I think that's the problem. I don't think people were able to temper expectations as much because of Fickell's pedigree, and where he's been in his career and what he's done. Obviously, that means that that's what people in Wisconsin want, but I just don't think it's going to happen one season.
Right.
There's still a lot of season to go. Again, I'm not going to discount everything else that can happen this season. That's just a tough loss, but that's a team that beat you last year. And there's still a lot of the same players on that Badgers team, as much as there was turnover that lost to Washington State last year.
Yep.
So I you got a Stevens point guy leading that team. So
yep. I know Washington State might be looking for a new conference. Wisconsin might not want them in the Big Ten at this point.
Wisconsin doesn't want to see them. I'm wondering how. I was guessing that was a home and home contract there.
Must have been, yeah.
That they're like, okay, let's get Washington State. But I mean, anytime they've played Pac-12 teams, there's been other than like the Rose Bowl, there's been some nightmare scenarios with anytime Wisconsin goes to the West Coast. So I'm not sure if they're really excited about UCLA coming into the conference there.
Yeah. But Washington State was, I don't know if you saw this. This was from a few days ago. I have it up here, but it said during the week, this is how big it was for Washington State over there for Wisconsin coming in. During the week, scores of fans packed into RVs and road tripped for this game, except until Thursday night arrived and they got the green light to move into the parking lot across from Martin Stadium, the site of the game. They had to line up their RVs along the street. So as the week unfolded, as Monday turned Tuesday and Tuesday turned into Wednesday, RVs started to pile into the street like moths to a flame. First, it was 2 RVs and 4, then 8, then 16 or 20. But that's how amped up they were getting for this
thing. And you could tell. You could tell they were taking this game so much more. I felt like they had that game meant a lot more to them than the Badgers. And you don't ever want a team to come in and take a team lightly, but I think in a way Wisconsin might have taken Washington State a little too lightly. I don't think the coaching staff probably did, but I think the players might have had a mentality. And I'm sure the players would say, no, we came in with the same. But it just looked like it meant so much extra.
Yeah.
To watch. I mean, they stormed the field. And this is a Wisconsin team that fired their coach last year, finished around 500.
Right.
Like, this isn't like
they weren't a top 5 ranked team or anything like that. It wasn't a Texas beating Alabama.
No, but that, I mean, if they can maintain that energy,
I
mean, Washington State's going to be a tough team for anybody this year. But I think it's a good learning moment though for Wisconsin. You don't, the old saying, don't believe the hype. And I think maybe a lot of the players believe the hype a little too much in their heads, especially again after the second half against Buffalo, where they just went crazy and played what they want to.
Right.
You got Georgia Southern this week. That's a must win at home.
Right.
And then,
yeah.
I mean, again, it's not conference, but
Yeah, if that's a close game, then I kind of wonder what people are going to say about that Badger team then. So,
because I mean that's what happened last year.
Yep.
The games where they were supposed to win or blow teams out were too close.
Right. All right, we got two more. Two in, one more to go. Half hour left with JC. We'll be back after this. Third and final hour on this Victory Monday morning coming at you. We got Justice Cleveland here for about 25 minutes or so more. So we'll get back to some more green and gold chat here. We got studs and duds. If you want to send us your studs and duds list, you can text us at that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Get back to some Brewers chat as well, but we kick off this hour with the birthday boy, G-Man, who's in the studio. Was it 62 years young right now?
Yep.
60, living a dream. Jeff texted in a little bit earlier and said, shout out to G-Man. Happy belated birthday. So
thank you, Jeff.
You got it. So you wanted to start off with a couple of shout outs first.
Yeah. Can I start off with a couple shout outs? The first one is for Mike Star Market for all what they did.
Yes. We got a few more days yet for that challenge before bow season starts, right?
Yes. And then for the Elks Lodge for all the people showing up Saturday.
Okay.
Now, do you know what happened Saturday?
I do not know what happened on Saturday.
Well. I went to Mike Star Market Saturday morning and bought $1,000 worth of meat. And we had a raffle at the Elks Lodge Saturday afternoon. And can you please close your eyes, hold out your hands, and you'll get a big surprise?
That's some nice wrapping papers.
Paper.
Poster.
Your poster was on the wall.
Oh, boy.
And Backyard Dreams was up on the screen, and we have something for you there.
Did you type that out or what?
Nope. I can't type. I just, you know what I do.
You talk.
Victory beer.
You want me to open his now?
Sure do.
All right.
This is awesome. Look at me.
Drum roll.
All right. So it's from the Elks Lodge. It's a letter. Proud to be able to serve the people and organizations in our community to demonstrate Elks Care, Elks Share on behalf of the Eau Claire Elks Lodge 402. Please present you a check for $2,000 that was raised at the meat raffle held on September 9th. Well, you did that, G-Man?
Yep.
That's phenomenal.
That's awesome. Thank you, man.
Yep.
You didn't have to do that.
Like JR says, you can't make this stuff up.
Or you go big or you go home, right?
That's right. You go big or go home.
Wow. G-Man, thank you, man.
Yep.
I had no idea this was what you were planning the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time, because I told everybody we're coming up to the end of Backyard Dreams.
Yep.
And this is really going to happen. And I stepped up to the plate to make it happen for the Chippewa Valley.
What did Mike say when you came in there and ordered all that meat?
We had a yellow piece of paper written out on everything. And it was fabulous.
Did you give him a heads up at least?
Sure did.
Attaboy.
I'm clearing you out.
They gave you a really nice write-up in the Elks Lodge letter that you helped out a 14-year-old boy with eye problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that, and I teared up when I read it home, and then I read the whole article in front of everybody Saturday, and I really teared up then. And then we got the raffle started, and I even went to Dairy Queen and got an Elks Lodge cake with Kenny's birthday and Chuck's birthday. And Kenny's the big deer hunter, so he had his orange on, waving at a 10-point buck.
Are you the big beer hunter then?
Chuck's a big curling guy, so he's pretending he's letting go of the curling ball. And happy birthday, Chuck and Kenny, and cupcakes and fun for all. And we made it happen this Saturday for Backyard Dreams. It's what's in that box.
Oh, geez, that's what's in this box.
Yeah,
you're not kidding, man. I didn't know what this was.
Yeah, you got to open up the box. Who says Christmas can't come in September?
I don't know if it's necessarily a box other than
it's an X. Oh my God.
No, that's a box.
Wow. I don't know if I've that in person.
Yeah. Holy moly, brother. That is
I am 6'7" right now.
Let's just say that's from the meat raffle. That's
yes.
The proceeds from the meat raffle.
Yep.
Dan's about to make it rain in here. Holy cow.
Moly, dude. That is unreal.
Backyard Dreams is what it's all about. I even got the t-shirt on underneath the jersey.
There you go.
I wore it to
I just
Wheat
love
raffle.
G-Man's traveling with like $2,000 in cash wrapped in a
poster.
And it's the
Nothing.
poster.
You get pulled over, that's not going to look shady at all.
They told me to go straight home when they gave me this
I'm
yesterday.
sure.
So I went straight home and watched the rest of the Packer game at home.
That a boy. Wow.
So all the people in the
thank you
Chippewa
to
Valley,
everybody who did that.
oh, they
too.
really
That
stepped
was-
up to the plate.
Holy moly.
And
that is wow.
Dan, I think you got a trip to the bank.
Yeah, I might as soon as we're done here, I'm going right to my boss's office.
Yeah, I was saying.
Right over there. Surveyor, you're truly the best, G-Man. Way to go, a gigantic heart of gold. I think
That is
Surveyor
very
said
thank
it.
you, Surveyor.
I think Surveyor summed it up perfectly there. And he says happy birthday too, by
Thank
the
you.
way. So
Because when I talked to you at Hy-Vee, I told you I have a surprise for you.
yeah, and I never know what they are.
Yeah,
So
so
you do actually hold on to secrets very well.
Yeah,
I
so
will
I'm-
give you
you know, I tell you, I feel really good right now that I gave you that. And I feel even better that it's going towards one heck of a good cause.
yes.
And I told everybody at the meat raffle, that's what it's all about.
Mhm.
Helping out the community, working together and getting the job done.
Yep.
And that's what we're here for.
Absolutely, man. I don't even know what to say, man. That's amazing. That's truly amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm-
Yeah. Oh my.
Wow.
I,
Not a bad victory Monday after a Packer win
no,
on this,
not a
right?
bad-
You got to be 6'7" slam dunking a basketball right now.
well, I'm going to have a victory Monday beer right now as soon as I leave here.
Wow, that is amazing, G.
Yeah,
So
So it all happened Saturday. And then they gave me the present yesterday on my birthday. And then I said, I'm going straight home and watching the rest of the game. And I did.
that's fantastic.
I
So-
stayed off Claremont and took the residential route.
No Fast and the Furious
Right,
types
I was gonna
going on
say.
here. Okay.
Did you make sure nobody was following you?
No,
Just
hey,
kidding.
plenty sure.
Oh, gee, man, thank you so much, sir. We
You bet.
appreciate everybody, and thank you to everybody too.
Yep,
from
they
the
all
Elks
they all
Lodge.
stepped up to plate,
Yes.
and Mike Star Market
And Mike Star
World
Market
did a heck of a
absolutely.
good job.
Absolutely.
So
Brandon's mom is saying happy belated birthday, G-Man rocks. So there you go. I know you know Brandon's mom too.
sure
so,
do. I
that's
know
awesome.
everybody.
You do know everybody. You do know everybody. Oh,
Very true.
G-Man, thanks, buddy.
Okay,
This is awesome, man. I'm gonna take it. If she's here, I'm gonna take it right to my boss's
Okay.
office right away.
good
so
seeing you,
Nice
JC.
seeing you, G-Man. Thank you so much for
You
what
bet.
you do.
all right, man. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back here with more after these quick words. Oh, big thanks again to G-Man, the Elks Lodge. Huge thanks to our good friends from Mike's Star Market. They put out that challenge, to get some brats sold before the opener of bow season, which is coming up this weekend, believe it or not. And hopefully we're getting to that level that they put us out there. But big thanks to Mike's because they're a big supporter of Backyard Dreams as well. Make sure you go get your Man Cave Light brats or dill pickle cheese or whatever brats you want for tailgating or for bow hunting.
Is it crazy how fast everything seems to be coming this year?
I know.
Like bow hunting, I think you have those 90-degree days in September, and it throws everything off. And it feels more like September now,
right?
But yeah, things have just felt like they've been coming at us at warp speed this year.
I can't get over it. Like right now, it's like, oh crap, I got to get ready for bow. I was up at the land, and getting everything, trail cameras and all that. And I'm like, still doesn't feel right.
No,
because
everything.
It's going to be like 2 months till rifle season, which means, okay, I don't want you. You got a sad face now on you.
It's 2 months till like Thanksgiving.
Right.
That is.
Yeah.
And for me, that means I got like a month left, a good for golfing before. Yep.
And I know
it all ends
next week. Next weekend, I'm like, ooh. Because my wife and I always go to get Christmas shopping done. By the way, first Christmas commercial was on during the Packers game. I don't know if anybody noticed that.
No, I didn't.
It was a Disney one, but it was like they had Christmas stuff going, and I think they were trying to sell like packages for a Christmas gift. They didn't necessarily say it, but you had like Mickey, Don and Christmas stuff and Christmas music playing.
Right. I see Halloween stuff out, and I'm like, isn't it too soon?
Their stores already got Christmas stuff
every year.
But no,
Christmas in July literally is going to mean that's when you put the Christmas stuff. 6 months of Christmas stuff.
Pumpkin spice will be out in July.
Pumpkin spice is never going to go away at this point. It'll go away for a month and just come back.
But I forgot next week. Like Veronica and I always go to Warren's, and that's next weekend already. The Cran Fest.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm like, oh my god.
Hey, time. This is Justice. Could you slow down just a little bit?
Right.
Just a tad.
Take a chill pill.
Especially between the months of like June,
right,
and September. If you could slow down a lot, give us. I don't know who's in charge of adjusting the calendars, but if somebody wants to give us an extra week,
hey, Father Time, if you're listening right now,
give us an extra week in even one of those months. It would really make things easier.
The all-powerful NFL likes to adjust stuff. Maybe they could do something up there.
If anybody could do it at this point,
Roger
could do it.
Come on, man. So, before I let you go, though, I got to talk to you about the Brewers from yesterday. Because
what a crazy day to have that going on the same time,
right?
As Jordan Love's first start. That'll be like an asterisk, like a tribute. What did the Brewers do the same day that Jordan Love made his first start as QB1?
Not to be a Debbie Downer, but there was still like a part of me. I'm like, of course, it's got to be the Brewers that have a no-hitter going in the 8th with Corbin, and they don't have any runs to help him out.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, and I still felt like they're still going to lose this game somehow. It just felt that way.
So I was out doing yard work and stuff. That's what I'll say I was doing. I was probably just sitting around doing nothing. But so I didn't get to watch the game until I saw the alert came up on MLB, popped up on my phone. And I'm like, oh. But as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I guarantee you in my head, I knew the Brewers had not scored any runs.
Yep.
And as soon as I looked, I'm like, yep. And then, I started looking, the Harvey Haddocks.
I was just going to say, nice shout out on Twitter. I saw you have
and
Harvey
Ken Johnson, who was the Astros pitcher that pitched a no-hitter but lost 1-0.
Yep.
And it just like started going in my head. It's like, this is the Brewers. That's how good they are. But that's just how bad the bats can be.
Yep.
And then you don't want to, Garrett Cole was going for, you don't want to take anything away from what he did. And he's a good pitcher. So but it's just like, that's been the Brewers the last few years. You can have the greatest pitching in the world, but if you're not scoring runs, you're not going to win games. And then getting to extra innings and everything. That's where it's like, sometimes you wish it was the traditional rules, because having that runner on.
Yes.
You who knows what that game would have done if there had been no extra runners on that.
Because it looks so weird to say, hey, it was 0-0 for the longest time and ended up finishing 4-3.
Right. Because everybody just, you got that runner on second and everybody was able to keep getting that runner in. But I don't know. I mean, that's the thing with this Brewers team. If they can make the playoffs, they got the pitching.
They do.
And if the pitching's on, 1, 2, 3, that's a series. You basically got 3 games there, and then you get another chance for Burns to get back on the mound.
Yep. I mean, and Wade Miley's your 4th, which isn't a bad option either, the way he's playing.
But you got to score runs.
That's
been the issue.
One of my studs Sal Frelick with that catch was just insane. And Brian Anderson, even with an awesome call, Brian Anderson's awesome to begin with. But
and it's great that it was one of his games in New York to have him there doing that.
Yeah. I mean, to make that catch, Joey Weimer's a big man too, to collide with him in that. But you could just tell that was like extra effort for the no-hitter to keep that thing intact. And boy, was that a sweet catch.
And that's, to me, that just shows you how all in this team is. But they're bailing out, running into each other, doing as much as they can to preserve that. I think that's with that young blood they have on that team. Man, it would be fun if they could get those bats hot at the right time, get in the playoffs, and who knows? It could be a storybook ending to the season.
Yeah,
but you got to score runs. In the playoffs, these games are going to be like this.
Yep.
You're going to have games that are going to be 0-0 until the 8th inning because you're going aces against aces.
Yep.
So we'll see what can happen. Still got to make the playoffs, and September is always a nervous time when it comes to being a Brewer fan.
And it's good. I think this is a big week coming up here because they return home, but they got 4 games here against Miami, who's just a half game out of a wild card. And if we're doing some scoreboard watching, the Cubs get the Rockies, who have the worst record in the National League right now. So, I mean, if you're not scoreboard watching, you probably should be paying attention to right now what's going on.
Right.
And keeping tabs on that.
The scary thing is for the Brewers, you hope yesterday's game does not kind of screw them up for this next series. It's a 4-game series, too. To go from travel home, get back, and then you don't know what you're going to have for bullpen situation coming up here. Obviously Burns went 8 innings, but then you burned through your bullpen after that. So against a team like Miami that can play, you got the best ball boys in the business too.
Yep.
Throwing them in the stands.
Yep.
But I hope they bring that guy with. That would be
no kidding. Andrew Chafin, though, you kind of have to wonder, can you put him in those tight? I mean, there's been a few times now since he's been with the Brewers. Can you trust him in those situations right now? I mean, I'd be nervous.
I would. And is this a guy who doesn't like the way he's pitching? Is a guy who doesn't? You would almost leave off the postseason roster.
Yeah. Especially if Aaron Ashby is ready to go and he gets some innings and you put him in the bullpen because that's how they're amping him up is to come out of the bullpen. I think now it's a real kind of question mark. How much can you trust him in those situations?
And you would have, and if you get to again, we're talking postseason here. We got first. You get to the postseason, you have that expanded. You have your starters that aren't starting,
and
you have some good guys that, like a Colin Ray and stuff who could pitch longer, and get in there. But first of all, you got to get there. So I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those. Unfortunately for the Brewers, a lot of those arms they've acquired at the trade deadline and stuff like that hasn't really paid off. Thinking of last year, obviously with the Josh Hader trade. So yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I mean, at that point, you have probably no choice. You're running out of guys to throw out there just because you're in extra innings. But I mean, everybody else did their job. They really did. I hope Milner gets the loss, but that's after they could have won a couple of times in that game. So
but that youngster Uribe, I mean, I mean it's I was actually, I'll be honest, I know he's a hard thrower now, but I was a little nervous when he came in after Williams. I'm like, okay, youngster in this situation, is it you kind of wonder about the mental, like
New York, you're at Yankee Stadium.
Exactly. Dude went out there and struck out too and got through it. So, I mean, that guy, though, when he's throwing, holy moly.
I mean, how much credit does the Brewers farm system for finding these arms? You wish a few more bats would come. But I mean, again, like half the team's farm system guys from last year. So you can't really knock that too much either.
Yeah.
They're just looking for that one galvanizing bat that could be like the game changer.
I don't know if you saw, I think it was Obi Miller that was on MLB Network a few days ago. And he was asked about the bullpen, and he's like, we all, everybody in that pen can hit 100. Then there's Devin Williams, which is not wrong. Devin doesn't throw as hard as those guys, but I mean, he's one of the best in the league right now.
Right. Except his ball is just insane. Like, I mean, you get the nickname Airbender for a reason.
And
absolutely. What he can do. Milner can reach 100.
That's what, like when he said that, I'm like, okay, where are you clocked at?
Yeah, I was say upper 80s.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, that's interesting. That okay,
is he hiding something on us? We don't know. He's one of these days he's gonna whip out 100-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's okay. I'm glad I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm glad you said it. I'm like, okay,
I don't even know what the way his arm slot it'd be possible.
I don't know, but all right, JC, I gotta let you go here really quick. our good friend Mark Faunus. G-Man just inspired me. I'm heading back to Mike's today to get some brats. Thanks, G-Man, Mike's, and the good people at the Elks Lodge. And in Wisconsin, who doesn't like a good meat raffle, especially for a good cause? Love it. G-Man, Mike's, and the good folks at Elks Lodge are my studs from the weekend.
Meat raffles. That's a Wisconsin Midwest thing right there.
Oh, absolutely. So big thanks again. Well, thank you, Mark, for hopping on over there too. So it was good seeing you, man. Appreciate you stopping by.
We'll be doing this a little more regularly now.
I like it. So, oh man, well, you have fun. You're going to be doing some golfing today. So,
I will for the YMCA at the country club. We'll see how badly I hit it in the trees.
Under how many balls Justice loses today. Set the line at 1.5.
Oh wow, I was going 3, but if you're going 1.5, oh boy, I'll update those odds later today.
Perfect. All right, Justice, appreciate it, buddy. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll start to finish up things here in just a few minutes. Good to catch up with our good buddy, Mr. Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire from WEAU 13 News this morning. Oh, wrapping things. I can't believe we're already 8:35, 8:36. What do I mean? Talking about all these brats from Mike's Star Market has me all hungry now, so I got to figure out something to grab and eat here. Man, Bill good to hear from you again, Bill. Bill from Easy Auto Credit. If you're making brat, try stuffed brat on the smoker. Sent over a picture. Those look really good. Man, those do look really good. Now you really got me. Dudes, I'm starving, man. I've been up since like 3. I need something in the stomach here. Is it too early to fire up the grill and get some brats going or something? Man. Been looking for it. Is Victory Monday here. So Packers fans, if you're just tuning in all morning, we've been looking or I've been asking, what really kind of stood out to you? What was the biggest thing, or what was the main thing, or what surprised you the most here? What stood out to you from that game last night? Hit us up with some texts, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. A little bit earlier, we had a texter saying the biggest takeaway is the front 7 speed, Walker's interception, Van Ness's first sack. Only a couple plays, but it shows you game-changing plays there. I think we caught up on everything else there. So obviously we talked a lot about how Jordan Love looked. The defense, especially, threw out some love to the special teams and the offensive unit over there as well. James on YouTube said, what stood out, how the offense slowly grew in confidence throughout the game. You could tell the offense was playing tight to start the game, but slowly started to gain confidence. Talking about a play, because it was today in 1999 that Favre hit Brooks for that 99-yard touchdown pass against the Bears. I believe it was a Monday night game, but I remember watching as a 13-year-old that play on a 13-inch, might not even been that big, in my room, black and white, no sound, because I'm pretty sure I wasn't supposed to be watching it. It was a school night. I don't know why that one sticks in my head. A lot of them other ones do, but I kind of asked, is there any other random plays that stick out to you? James saying a play that's forever etched in my memory is Robin Yount's diving catch that sealed Juan Nieves' no-hitter. Excuse me. Choking up, losing my voice here. I was thinking about that a lot yesterday until the 10th inning. All right. What else? Did anything surprise you the most? I know week 1 isn't officially over with. We still have the Jets and Bills. And I know it's a Monday night game, so I'm sure there'll still be quite a few people watching it because it is a Monday night game. But Packers fans, a certain quarterback will be making his debut with his new team. Will you be watching? How much will you be watching? Is it must watch for you? Or do you just not care? You don't care. All you care about is the 65%. And you hope for a bunch of losses for the Jets. I don't know. But are you still kind of paying attention to what, I guess we got to call them 8 now, what Aaron Rodgers is doing over there with the Jets and such? Or do you just not care? I mean, I'm going to be watching. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be tuned in a little bit. 1, it's Monday Night Football. 2, yeah, I'm going to be kind of curious to see how well Rodgers is playing and such. But main thing is we just want the 65%. Make sure a bunch of losses to improve the draft stock over there, right? But with the games from yesterday, did any of the other results really surprise you? Or what really jumped out to you from the results from yesterday? Cleveland 24-3 over Cincinnati. I'm sure that surprised a lot of people, although maybe they should have listened to Peter King when he was on our show last week. As Peter King said, nobody's talking about Bengals and Browns with this game, and he threw out some nuggets, and even throughout the nugget, Joe Burrow's only beat him once in his career. And lo and behold, Cleveland beats Joe Burrow and the Bengals 24-3. Jim Schwartz back as a defensive coordinator in the league, and he had that defense humming yesterday, shutting down the Bengals. Burrow only 82 yards passing for crying out loud. So I'm sure that game's on the short list for a lot of people. Tampa Bay beating Minnesota 20-17. New Orleans edging out Tennessee 16-15. Jacksonville getting a win, although it looked kind of close back and forth. San Francisco looked every bit like a Super Bowl contender, 30-7 over Pittsburgh. Brock Purdy, I know I was kind of on the train. I shouldn't say kind of. I was on the train of like, okay, Brock Purdy's got to show it to me more than just a half a season. Well, he had himself a decent game yesterday too. So 49ers looked every bit of that Super Bowl contender. Arizona was actually kind of making it a game against Washington yesterday too. Rams definitely, I think, was a big surprise, 30-13 over Seattle. No Cooper Kupp in that, and Rams were able to put up all those yards against Seattle as popular playoff team pick or popular pick to make the playoffs. Seattle, even some winning the division, and they lay a clunker yesterday. One of the best games yesterday, Miami and the Chargers. No big surprise that it was a 36-34 game, looking at both those offenses and the talent that they have on there. And then last night, the late game, Dallas putting up 40, scoring 40 total against the Giants. Dak Prescott only had to throw 24 times and for 143 yards because his defense came to play last night. Daniel Jones just held to 15-28 for 140 yards, and Saquon Barkley 51 yards on the ground. Giants couldn't do anything last night. Cowboys making an early statement, 40-0. So we'll see. Excuse me. We'll see how the game goes tonight between the Jets and the Bills. I don't know. I think I picked the Jets to win this one, and I'll stay with the Jets to win this game. So, all right, we got to take one more break here. Before that, though, let's take a look at the leaderboard for our Pro Football Pick'em Challenge up on our website, sportstalk1051.com. If you are a part of that, you can check out the leaderboard for yourself. Just head to our website. Click on the Win tab. Then click on the Pro Football Pick'em Challenge icon there. Sign in to see where you are at, but otherwise you can see on the leaderboard. And rolling in sole possession right now, 12 games rolling correctly picked. 12 games. Then we got Tony and Tim tied for second at 11. And then a big group there tied for third with 10 correctly picked games. So, Roland, the early leader in the clubhouse right now. Is there a way I can see what Roland picked for tonight? Load up in time. Come on. Roland has the Jets also for tonight. Okay. There you go. There you have it. So let's take a quick break. And we'll wrap things up here this morning on this Victory Monday. Well, if you're a Packers fan, it's a Victory Monday. If not, then it's just Monday for you. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Let's wrap things up here this morning on this Monday morning. We got about 10 minutes to the top of the hour here. Obviously, talked a lot of green and gold. Packers 1-0 to begin the season with their 38-20 victory over the Chicago Bears. Maybe we'll learn a little bit more about some of the injuries after Matt LaFleur talks to the media today. But Quay Walker looked like he was being tested for a concussion, and then he was let off the field. So it looks like he maybe suffered a concussion there after that big hit from his pick six. Jaden Reed, it looked a lot worse than what, I mean, he ended up being, it was cramps. He was actually on the field for the onside kick and recovered it. But that jump ball throw there and the way he came down and, his helmet was off and he looked like he was in a lot of pain and had to be helped off the field. It looked a lot worse, but luckily it was just cramps. Matt LaFleur talking about Aaron Jones afterwards too. He was hoping that it was just cramps. Aaron Jones kind of downplayed it a little bit, said he could have gone back out there if need be. Kind of said that it bit him a little bit. The hamstring bit him a little bit. He said he's pulled his hamstring before and it's not anywhere near that. So we'll see how the week probably progresses here. But yeah, talk some college football, Badgers, locally here, obviously losing to Washington State. So we'll see how they bounce back against Georgia Southern tomorrow. We'll talk to RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, tomorrow about the loss and looking ahead to Georgia Southern there. But Big Ten-wise, Mel Tucker, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about in the last 24, 48 hours, head coach Mel Tucker. Michigan State has suspended him amid a harassment case. So there's suspended without pay while the university completes an investigation into claims that he sexually harassed a prominent sexual assault awareness speaker after she was hired to address the Spartan team. That's according to ESPN there. So elsewhere in the college football world, probably the big one from the weekend, Texas defeating Alabama. Colorado demolishing Nebraska. So primetime Dion, his Colorado team, 2-0 to begin the tenure, to begin the season over there. If you're looking at the latest AP rankings, Georgia's still number 1, Michigan 2, Florida State moved up to number 3, Texas vaulted up 6 spots to number 4. Alabama dropping 7 spots to number 10. Colorado moving up to 18, it looks like. 18 right now. So Wisconsin's out of the dropped out of the rankings. They're out. They were at 19, but they dropped out after this. No big surprise there. So okay, what else? Baseball. Brewers back in action tonight against Miami. Brewers still holding on to a 3-game lead over the Cubs in the division. Got to do some scoreboard watching these final 20 games here, Brewers fans, or if you're a Cubs fan too, because, just up 3 games and Brewers going up against a Miami team that's fighting for a wild card spot. They're just a half game out. Cubs, meanwhile, visit Colorado. Colorado, worst record in the National League. So come on, Rockies. Put up a bunch of runs against the Cubbies there and help out the crew just a little bit. Or Brewers, take care of your business and get that W. Brandon Woodruff's going to be on the mound for the Brewers. Brewers yesterday tried to make a little history. Corbin Burns was locked in his duel against Garrett Cole, although Yankees and Garrett Cole were also locked in. But Corbin Burns had that no-hitter going through the 8th. Brewers had it going in the 11th and just ended up losing 4-3 there. So, but the bigger picture, Brewers did take 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. Against the Yankees team that was playing better as of late. So they go into New York, had to deal with some rain, some delays and that, and able to take 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. So there's the positive outlook on that, right? I think I just got the email the other day. I think we're about, so now we are officially under a month from the tip-off to the Bucs season 2. So countdown's on there. First game. Where is that coming up here? Yeah. Bucs, the 8th. October 8th. First game. No, that's a preseason one. Regular season openers. Never mind. Regular season open. The preseason's under a month. Regular season doesn't time. We still got some time, but the 26th against the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm assuming James Harden will not be on there. But the preseason for the Bucks is now officially under a month away. So what else do we got on here? A lot of you chiming in. What was the biggest surprise over the weekend? I know week 1 isn't officially in the books yet until tonight's game, but from the weekend games, from the NFL games here, a lot of you texting in with the Bengals or the Cowboys are your top two. Did have a couple for the Rams, but majority going with the Bengals losing to the Browns the way they did, and the Cowboys absolutely dismantling the Giants last night. Jeff Passan, since we were just talking about Cubs and Brewers here, Jeff Passan from ESPN just tweeted out big news in Chicago. Top outfield prospect Pete Crow Armstrong is being called up by the Cubs. The plan is for him to be activated on Tuesday. Cubs are gearing up for a playoff run, and their best prospect will be there with them. So, Cubs fans probably excited right now. Maybe Brewers fans a little bit more nervous here, but Cubbies calling up their top prospect. Don't expect the Brewers to do the same with Jackson Chourio or anything like that. Don't expect that. I think that would kind of surprise everybody at this point, but I guess never say never. I guess never say never, but I think that would be more of a shock if they did that than not. So, Twins, meanwhile, since just to kind of put a bow on the baseball stuff, they're going to be going up against the Tampa Bay Rays right today. Twins, I mean, you're still looking at, they're in control right now of things, right? I mean, Twins fans are already probably preparing for a postseason berth and getting ready for the postseason and all that good stuff. They're just kind of, I don't want to say flying under the radar or anything, but I mean, you look at it, they're 7.5 up on the Guardians right now in their division. Twins are 75 and 68, but I wonder what that magic number is for them to clinch. Got to be getting pretty close just because they keep increasing the gap over there. Although, I mean, the Braves clinched already, and they're 15 up on the Phillies, and the Phillies are the number 1 wild card spot. That's just how dominant the Braves have been so far this year. Dodgers got to be getting close here, too. They're 13 up on the Diamondbacks. They've got 87 wins here, so maybe they're getting a little bit closer here. Let me see. Do I have a playoff seeking? Is this updated? When was the last updated? No, that's too old there. I'll have to look for it. Maybe get it ready for tomorrow. So, speaking of tomorrow, coming up tomorrow, it is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So maybe we'll have some more Badger football Grind My Gears. But what's been grinding your gears or anything else out there? Think about it and let us know tomorrow for that. As I mentioned, we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal, Badger analyst. Sure, maybe he's got some grinding of gears to do after the Badgers lost to Washington State. We'll take a look at Georgia, look at the game against Georgia Southern before the Badgers begin the Big Ten portion of their schedule, which will begin next Friday against Purdue, on the road against Purdue. So we'll hit that up. We'll talk a little green and gold if Matt LaFleur has anything to say of note from his media availability today. Maybe we'll get some injury updates and such. Maybe even an update on Christian Watson. Could he be back sooner rather than later? Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Never know. Maybe. So we'll hit that up as well. Obviously, we'll be talking about the Brewers game. Hopefully, with Brandon Woodruff on the mound, the crew can get the win tonight. We'll recap that and then look ahead to tomorrow's game. But for scheduling purposes, each game tonight, or the next 3 games going to be at 6:40. Then you got a day game on Thursday at 1:10 before they welcome the Washington Nationals to town for a 3-game set. Then the Brewers hit the road against the Cardinals and Miami again next week. So 1 game at a time, though. But we're definitely doing a little scoreboard watching here. And, yeah, I think it's really trending. It's going to go down to that last series of the year, isn't it? It's going to go that way. We're just going to add more drama to this whole thing. because I'm just looking at the Cubs schedule. I mean, Rockies, then they got the Diamondbacks again, then they got the Pirates, then they got the Rockies again. Then they got the Braves right before the Brewers series. But what are the Braves, I don't know. Are they gonna kind of just like rest some of their guys for that playoff push? Possibly now that they've clinched. It's gonna be tight. DP and the Danets, they're up next. Have a fantastic rest of your Monday. Big thanks again, G-Man, Elks Lodge, Mike Star Market. You guys are awesome for your support for Backyard Dreams. Big thanks for Justice for stopping by and hanging out with us for a little bit. We'll be back tomorrow morning, just past 6. Talk to you then.